स्क्रीन पर झिलमिलाती हुई तस्वीरें एक ऐसी हकीकत दिखा रही थीं जिस पर यकीन करना तकरीबन नामुमकिन था। उसके दिमाग का बड़ा हिस्सा मौजूद ही नहीं था, सिर्फ एक फंक्शनल ब्रेन स्टेम बाकी था। वो तमाम हिस्से जो सोचने, याद रखने, समझने और खुदी के एहसास के लिए जरूरी समझे जाते हैं, गायब थे।
Hello, I'd like to schedule a consultation with a specialist, please.
Of course. Have you been seen here before, or are you a new patient?
उसकी आंखों में एक अजीब सी जुस्तजू थी।
I am a new patient.
उससे अंदाजा भी नहीं था कि वो अभी तिब की दुनिया के सबसे बड़े नजरियात को चैलेंज करने वाला है। डॉक्टर्स ने मामूल के मुताबिक उसके टेस्ट और स्कैन्स किए। सब कुछ आम लग रहा था जब तक कि स्क्रीन पर तस्वीरें जाहिर ना हो गईं।
That was unexpected. A brilliant move.
He competed, he learned, he laughed, he failed and tried again. Nothing unusual, nothing extraordinary.
Do you understand the instructions? Yes, perfectly.
I had not yet drunk my coffee, and I remember the coffee because I never finished it. The moment I opened that folder, everything else ceased to matter. The manila folder landed on my desk at 7:43 on a Tuesday morning. Inside was a single MRI scan. A brain, or rather, what remained of one. I had built, in the fortress of my own certainty, a picture of what Mr. V must be like. Limited, dependent. You must be the one who has come to figure out how I think.
I hoped we might simply talk. Good. Talking is something I can do.
There are three questions that have haunted neuroscience for as long as neuroscience has existed as a discipline. They are not obscure or peripheral questions. They are the central ones. They sit at the very heart of what it means to be conscious, to be human.
The first question, how do we think? The cortex has long been understood.
Damage to specific cortical regions produces devastatingly specific losses. Damage to Broca's area, and you lose the ability to form speech.
Nietzsche had almost none of it, and yet he read Dostoevsky. He argued about politics. He made dry, precise jokes at my expense.
Told me with quiet certainty that I seemed like a man who had been rerouted by a train delay.
He was right. I had not mentioned it.
How do we experience self-awareness? Consciousness, the sense of being a self-observing a world, is perhaps the deepest mystery in all of biology.
Some theorists locate it in the prefrontal cortex.
Others implicate the thalamus, the claustrum, the cingulate gyrus.
There is no shortage of candidates.
There is, however, a shortage of certainty.
Here H.E. was, by any observable measure, exquisitely self-aware. He knew what he did not know. He knew how he appeared to others, and occasionally commented on it with a wry detachment that suggested not defensiveness, but genuine curiosity about his own condition. One afternoon he told me, quite matter-of-factly,
that he sometimes wondered whether his way of experiencing the world was better or worse than the standard version, or simply different.
I have nothing to compare it to. Neither do you, really. That stopped me cold. He was right. None of us has access to another person's inner experience. And then a man with almost no cortex sits across from you and dismantles the assumption with a single sentence. The third question, Saf, perhaps the most startling kurupe, was this. How does he feel? Emotion, in conventional neuroscientific understanding, is not solely a cortical function. The limbic system, the amygdala, the insula. These subcortical structures are deeply involved in fear, pleasure, grief, and love. But the cortex modulates emotion. It contextualizes it, regulates it, gives it narrative shape. Without the cortex, emotion should be raw, unfiltered, ungoverned, explosive, perhaps, possibly unreliable. He spoke of his daughter with a quiet, focused tenderness that made the room feel different. Warmer, somehow, as though the air itself responded. He spoke of grief, too, when his mother died during our second year of contact.
I feel it with every fiber, not as a wound, but as a silence. A specific.
6 months into my visits, I made a decision that would either validate everything I was witnessing or expose it as a cascade of wishful misinterpretation. I convened a panel.
12 researchers, neurologists, cognitive scientists, a philosopher of mind from Cambridge,
And 2 clinical psychologists whose skepticism I specifically relied upon. I sent them Mr. V's scans, his test results, transcripts of our conversations with his consent, and a detailed case summary.
If we cross-reference the stabilization data, the neural decay accelerates.
That contradicts the primary hypothesis on page 12.
I asked them to read everything before the meeting
And to arrive with their most difficult questions.
What exactly are we optimizing the gene therapy for?
Treating disease, Sony, making it safe, effective, and long-lasting.
Enhancing humans, Brace.
Which raises ethical questions about what better even means.
So the real question is, are we fixing biology or redefining it? I told you this wasn't possible.
We've accounted for all variables.
Impossible.
You're being irrational now.
Irrational? This is reckless, you fools!
This is not possible.
The data is wrong, or the patient is performing. She was not being cruel. She was being a scientist. Models of cortical dependency? He contradicted all of them. The data is anomalous. The readings are off the charts. Something is critically wrong.
Welcome, Doctor. Have a seat.
Thank you. What's the situation?
The analysis is conclusive. The subject's condition is far more critical than we initially believed.
Then the projections we had are obsolete?
Look at the convergence rates. They're dropping.
It's initiating a total system failure. The model is wrong. It's all wrong.
What is that?
No, it can't be. Look at that.
It's critical! Doctor, do something!
The simulation is stable. Focus on the neural pathways.
But... right, I see it, but...
Good catch. It's the doctor.
Be there! I can't believe this. The data contradicts everything we know. But look at the brain structure. It's perfectly normal. Normal doesn't explain this level of activity.
He was, in other words, entirely, unmistakably human. And that was the most unsettling discovery of all. I last visited Mr. V on a November afternoon, 3 years after that first manila folder landed on my desk. The trees outside his window had lost their leaves. The pigeons were still there. We talked about a documentary he had watched about deep-sea creatures. I didn't know much about it, but it sounded intriguing. He found them wonderful. He said it was reassuring, somehow, that the world contained so many ways of being alive. I asked him, finally, the question I had been carrying for 3 years. I asked him whether he ever thought about his own brain.
About what the scans showed.
About the absence where the textbooks said the self should live.
Sometimes. But then I think, the scans show what isn't there. They don't show what is. But I have not moved on from that answer. I carry it with me into every lecture hall, every clinical consultation, every moment when I am tempted to confuse the map with the territory. The scan shows what is not there,
It does not show what is.
We do not yet have the instruments for that. We do not yet know what questions to ask. And perhaps that is where Science House, real science, the kind that does not mistake its current models for permanent truth poly, must learn to begin. Not with certainty,
Not with the confidence of the fully drawn map.
but with the honest, uncomfortable, necessary acknowledgement that somewhere out there,
You don't understand it? That's the point, isn't it? It's an invitation.
This can't be right. Run it again. Adjust the contrast. Check every angle. It has to be a mistake. Ow! How is he thinking? How is he self-aware?
Nothing there. No cortex, no neurons, only a brainstem. Nothing that should create a mind.
If this is real, everything we know about consciousness,
About life.
is wrong.